Human code breakers have a remarkably high success rate. Give us enough time, and we can translate lost ancient languages or reverse engineer complex wartime encryption machines. Even chaotic, deliberately confusing cryptograms built by modern serial killers eventually fall apart when subjected to human logic and mathematical pressure. But there is one glaring exception: a singular, ancient text that has completely defeated every cryptographer, linguist, and computer scientists for centuries. Out of all the ciphers recorded in human history, this specific manuscript remains the only one that has yielded absolutely zero structural meaning. We actually know exactly when the physical book was made. Radiocarbon dating, a method of determining age by measuring the decay of radioactive carbon isotopes, places the creation of its vellum pages squarely in the early 1400s. But the ink on those pages is completely alien. The script's bizarre loops and swoops map to no known human alphabet. Despite a century of intense modern scrutiny, not a single character, word, or sentence has been definitively translated. We know the exact century and general region this book came from, yet its internal logic remains mathematically and mechanically unbreakable. Usually, when cryptographers want to find an entry point into a code, they look for visual context clues. At first glance, the book's hundreds of colorful drawings seem to offer exactly that. Take the botanical section. It looks like a standard scientific herbal guide. But look closer at the plant species depicted. Like this bulbous root system stamped with a cross, they are entirely fictional or composite, matching no known flora on Earth. The astrological section contains complex radial charts full of intricate spokes and text. But here is the cryptographer's ultimate dead end. The text wrapping perfectly around these circular diagrams completely refuses to align with the visual subjects, providing zero translation clues. The illustrations act as a deceptive false trail. To make any progress, codebreakers have to abandon the visuals entirely and rely strictly on the raw mathematics of the text itself. This brings us to frequency analysis. This is a foundational method where you count how often certain letters repeat to easily break simple substitution ciphers, which swap standard letters for symbols. This graph illustrates Zipf's law. It is a strict mathematical curve dictating that in all genuine human languages, the most frequent word occurs twice as often as the second most frequent, and so on. When you plot the raw text data of the Voynich manuscript onto this exact same graph, the result is shocking. The unknown script perfectly matches the Zipf curve. The implications of that match are massive. It proves the manuscript operates with the exact mathematical structure of a living language. This rules out the theory of random keyboard smash gibberish. This statistical perfection means whoever created it either possessed an actual, undocumented language, or they somehow achieved a mathematical impossibility for a 15th century author. In the modern era, human codebreakers have largely been replaced by the brute force of machine learning and military-grade supercomputers. When unleashed on the manuscript, the AI successfully identifies rigid structures. It easily maps out repeating prefixes and consistent word suffixes across the entire 240-page text. But then comes the machine failure. Despite flawlessly mapping that architecture, the semantic meaning remains a complete black box. The algorithms yield zero usable output. The text acts as a perfect linguistic mirage. It holds all the mechanical scaffolding of a real language, but contains absolutely zero decipherable data inside. If it isn't a decipherable coded message, we have to consider a more cynical hypothesis. It is an elaborate, entirely meaningless hoax. Imagine a Renaissance con artist instinctively faking linguistic patterns to create a magical book, strictly to sell it to a wealthy, gullible royal. Compare that idea to standard illuminated manuscripts of the era. Those always featured clear, readable Latin text, designed for religious or royal instruction. The absolute illegibility of the Voynich makes it a bizarre anomaly, even if it is a fake. This leaves cryptographers with a terrifying implication. The most resilient code in history might be a mathematically perfect forgery, with absolutely nothing inside to read. We live in an age where human technology can sequence the human genome and map distant galaxies, yet it completely fails against a few drops of ink on medieval vellum. The manuscript remains totally undefeated. It sits in a vault as a mirror, reflecting the hard, frustrating limits of our own computational and linguistic power. A moment of wonder. Without a translation, the text survives as the ultimate blank canvas for human curiosity and projection. True, impenetrable mysteries still exist. They are sitting quietly on library shelves, waiting for a mind brilliant enough to finally break them.